Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where we learn to be a better programmer. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the Singleton design pattern. Before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on future videos. Okay, so what is the Singleton design pattern? The Singleton design pattern basically ensures that there is only one instance of a particular class that is shared across your entire application. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what that looks like, and we're just going to jump right into it. So a couple of characteristics of a singleton object are as follows. A singleton class has a private constructor, like this, and you can choose to have information inside of it if you want. In this video, I'm not going to actually implement the constructor itself. It has a private static my singleton reference to itself. And then the only thing that is exposed in a singleton class is a static method called getInstance. Now, you can call this whatever you want to, but typically it's called getInstance. So what goes inside of this method is if my singleton is equal to null, then we just say my singleton is equal to new my singleton. Okay? So this constructor that's getting called is this private constructor here. Okay? And then all we do is return my singleton. Okay, so it's very important to realize that the only time that a new my singleton gets instantiated is the first time getInstance is called. Okay, so we're just going to debug this by saying system, and then if we're outside, we're just going to say return my singleton. And so this is redundant code, but we're actually just going to use this for illustrative purposes. So system.out.println. No new instance created. Okay, awesome. I created a main class that just creates that just has the main method. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say my singleton, my first object. So this should actually print out new instance, right? So when that's called, and then I'm going to create a second instance, and this is say no new instance, like that. Now I want to actually say system.out.println my first object. So this is actually just going to print the memory address of my first object, and I'm going to do the same for my second object. So if we run this, we see that a new instance was created, and then the second time getInstance was called, no new instance was created. So it's using that same instance that was initially created. And then we see that the class was printed, my singleton, and then the memory addresses of both instances are identical, which makes sense, right? Because the instance that is returned from getInstance is always going to be that same first instance that was created. Okay, so when would you potentially want to use a singleton object? A lot of people in the software community kind of think of the singleton object as a anti-pattern. So an anti-pattern is basically something that makes for more difficult to maintain. And that's simply because what typically ends up happening is that a singleton object just basically gets instantiated throughout your entire code and tends to mutate as well. So you might have one class that increments a value in a singleton object, and then another class that's expecting that singleton object's value to be a certain value, and then it just causes all of this sort of, it's very hard to debug because you don't know where that singleton object is getting modified, and so on and so forth. But a good use case for a singleton object is doing some sort of file I/O. So if you're writing to a file or reading from a file, and you just want to have a single class that reads a file the exact way that you want it. So you just instantiate, so you just get an instance of that class, one instance of that class, and then you read the file, and then you're done. It's just more of a convenience that we expect to do a lot of file I/O or a lot of requests, and we don't necessarily want to pollute our memory space by instantiating brand new instances of an object. So instead, we only need to create one that is used everywhere. The singleton design pattern is very useful in a lot of instances, while it does tend to get abused because it tends to be overused in the wrong way. So I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please feel free to hit that like button and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks so much.